Hey everyone, it's LS, and this is the patch 14.2 notes rundown here on the FlyQuest YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, etc. All that good jazz as the patch notes are back. I didn't end up doing 14.1. That patch was so massive that it has to be basically broken up into smaller pieces. And if you did not see, I actually did, for the first time ever, an entire item rundown, and that's actually over on my main LoL YouTube channel. That is about 4 hours long. There is timestamps though, so if you just want to jump to specific items, that is there. So there's the mid-patch update, which we'll go over first. So passive on Brand, damage to monsters is down by 10%. Passive Blaze, maximum health damage per stack, 100 AP, 2.5 to 2%. Rumble, base attack damage is up for his auto attacks. Doesn't really matter a whole much because obviously it goes through resistances and stuff. So this is not going to be the reason that you win a trade unless you play like 1,000 games or something like that. E damage, 60 to 160 plus 40% AP to 60 to 160 plus 50% AP. So he is losing some AP early on. And I mean, I'm sorry. Wait. What? Wait. Rumble's getting buffed? Wait, what? Wait. I'm sorry. Wait, what? Okay, so one of the most broken champions in the game is actually getting buffed, okay. Teemo Eon hit damage is 14 to 58 plus 30%, 14 to 66 plus 30%. We can blame Alan Teemo for this. And I actually think that we are solely blaming Alan Teemo and like maybe a couple other Teemos pretty much for this. Because Teemo's just in a pretty interesting spot after the item changes and whatnot. And Teemo's been in a really good spot. And there was that Worlds where it was the Camille, Graves, Renekton meta. And Teemo was actually getting played in World Scrims. He just never ended up coming out to the stage. So bug fixes, okay. These are all fine. And now let's jump into it. So really good. Now, Riot normally starts off strong with patches. If you guys remember Season 13, I think that we had a pretty similar thing going on. Normally, the first few patches every season, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's very exciting. It's very fruitful. And then 14.6, maybe 14.7, 14.8, we're going to go into the lollygag state, and it's going to become the same thing again. So let's move into it. Vanguard is here, or it's on the horizon. In a few weeks, we'll be introducing Vanguard, Riot's proprietary anti-cheat software. So for people that don't know, there's been like a mini type of Vanguard on the Korean client, and you guys might have seen me talk about this actually on Twitter months ago, where basically there's a system in place, and I don't know if they ended up removing this, but it was introduced a long time ago, a couple of years ago, that if you input too many commands, or yeah, if you input too many commands or there's too many actions sent to the server in too short of a time span, it would ban you. And obviously what I'm referring to there is like scripting, because obviously scripts need to be able to input, X amount of commands in order to make a character move a certain way sometimes. And so that was one of the methods that, they would do stuff. Riot also has the anti-VPN thing, which is, even though you're using a VPN, sometimes it can connect, or it can detect that you're using a VPN, and then you get your account gets auto-locked, in which case only a Korean can actually unlock the account. Riot did this a couple of years ago because Korean pro players had complained about the amount of foreigners, mostly connecting from overseas, playing on the Korean ladder. People might remember this as the LPL Exodus, where all of the LPL accounts were actually nuked on the Korean server. Now, sometimes some pros do still play there, but Korea has obviously had like systems in there, maybe not explicitly Vanguard, but yeah. Windows MinSpec update. This is really good. I hope that they actually do a graphical update or something in Season 15 or like Season 16. I think that would be a perfect timing to do it. And that would make a whole lot of sense. I think that would be a 10-year anniversary, right, for the update as well, because I think that they updated it in Season 4 going into Season 5, and so now Season 14 going into Season 15, I think that'd be a perfect update, and I wonder if this is obviously being prepared for that. MMR and matchmaking, reducing the amount of games, demotion, prediction, tier bounties, gold to silver. This should only affect people who seed, promote, etc. Patch 14.1, how it landed. We've been pretty happy with 14.1 landed in terms of bug stability and overall balance after the 14.1 hotfix. Game time is stable, objective balance looks good with trades associated. We are pursuing some reductions in 14.2 through stat shard changes. All right, so we're going to talk about this. So stat shards. So these are the rune things that you end up selecting. Typically, you have adaptive, attack speed, ability haste, and then you had adaptive, and then armor MR, and then you had armor MR HP. Per level, right? So now, slot 1, 9 adaptive force, unchanged, okay. Slot 2, 6 armor is now changed to 2% movement speed. So for context, this is about 7 MS for most champions inside of the game. Slot number 3, 8% magic resistance, 10 to 180 based on level bonus health. Interesting. So the 2% movement speed might actually affect some matchups where like having access to magical boots actually allows you to dodge certain abilities and play the lane a little bit different. It's going to be a very, very, very small amount of matchups where something like this ends up taking place. However, in matchups where typically you maybe just wanted the second adaptive force, maybe the 2% movement speed and gaining access to that mini, almost quite magical boots, not exactly, would be able to help you. Now, some people don't know that movement speed does have diminishing returns over a certain threshold, and that is something that people do have to consider. Slot 3, 8 magic resistance to a 10 to 180 base level bonus health. This is totally fine. Row 3, defensive shard options. Slot 1, 15 to 140 bonus health to 65 base health. So now you can start the lane with pretty much 2 extra auto attacks or maybe even an ability hit extra for free. And this will probably end up getting outscaled at like level 7, level 8 or something like that by this shard. So again, it really does matter what you're going to do there. So 6 armor, 10% tenacity, and slow resistance. This is really good. Gives you more alternative ways to not go one of the worst boots in the game, which is Merc Treads. And then slot 3, 8 magic resistance to 10 to 180 based on level bonus health. So you can actually stack a lot of health now. Bonus, and that is kind of crazy. Jungle companion compensation. Jungle heal per second, 12 to 35 to 14 to 37, totally fine. Smolder. Already did a review on this champion. I do not know if he's like not popular at all, but I don't see anyone talking about him, unfortunately, and I don't see anything about him on social media. And pros that I've obviously had on for the coach streams and other stuff don't even talk about him, don't pay attention. So I don't know. I looked at some of his numbers. His numbers are kind of all over the place. I don't know exactly what to think, but that's it for Smolder. Did a rundown over on my main LoL YouTube channel. Ahri. Ow. Okay, see, I'm allergic to female charm. Ahri, E cooldown decreased, E charm 14 to 12 seconds. Obviously nice for her, trades inside of lane. She lost power in 14.1. I think that she mostly lost power because a lot of the items that she had a lot of fun with and the way that she would curve in laning phase got hit really hard. And so, giving her 2 seconds off her charm, I don't think that's going to change anything. Blitzcrank, base armor decreased, E damage is also now decreased. Base armor down by 3, so he's probably losing about an auto attack or half an auto attack probably an auto attack inside of laning phase. Well, no, probably half an auto attack in laning phase. E power fist, 200% total AD, 25% AP to 180% total AD to 25% AP. So again, during laning phase, you're gonna have like 80 damage, right? And you're losing 20% of AP. Okay, so on his E. So this is going to amount to half an auto, maybe an auto if you're lucky, depending on the amount of times that you power fist inside of lane. In the later stages of the game, sure, it can definitely do something, but we'll have to see. So that is that. Briar, passive healing. This champion is just a total mess, by the way. This is actually a total mess. And honestly, I do feel really bad for August because I think that he's one of the coolest riders in terms of how active he is and how much he engages with the community and all this other stuff. But let's just be really honest here. Something is like wrong with Zeri and something is wrong with Briar. The fact that they were both Briar now, right, in so many balance patches and all this other type of stuff. Something is like fundamentally wrong, and the people that were playtesting the champion did not do a good enough job. Like that is just how it is. I feel like when champions are this consistently inside of patch notes and this much of a problem, the playtesting actually went wrong. Now, that's a little bit confusing to me because, again, I've spoken about this publicly, that while I wasn't exactly told Briar's name or any of these things, Briar's skills were described to me as early as a couple of years ago, which means that Briar was really in playtesting for a while. And we know that she had some skill changes and all this other stuff. But yeah, passive Crimson Curse, 0.5% per 1% missing health to 0.4 plus 0. Oh, okay, per 1% missing health, per bonus health, okay. Bleed tick rate, 1 second to 0.5 seconds. Total bleed damage and duration are unchanged. This allows her to obviously get her execute quicker on you. Q, head rush 60 to 180 plus 80% bonus AD. Physical damage 60 to 180 plus 80% AD. 60% AP magic damage. So they've changed her Q to magic. Okay. So this makes it hit harder early. And even in later stages of the game, potentially, it is going to make it hit harder. But now it's going to more depend on how you itemize. 10 to 20% armor reduction to 10 to 20% armor and magic resistance reduction. So now she's also able to help out her mage teammates, which is really gross if they just have flat pen. Healthy hits. Q now applies on-hit effects and lifesteal. That is disturbing. Okay, that is kind of awesome, actually. W, Blood Frenzy. Bite heal, 36 to 60%. Now, obviously, the other thing about Briar is, like, some of the items that have just come out with the actives and stuff that allow her to get the auto resets and everything. So W Blood, we'll just tune into Drew Toot stream and see what he's doing on Briar. W Blood Frenzy, 36 to 60% damage dealt, 25 to 45% of damage dealt, plus 5% of Briar's maximum health. So they're making it so that she can be really tanky and sustain. Less critical strikes. W no longer critically strikes for 5 to 65 plus 5% bonus damage. No W can still critically strike like a basic attack for 100% total AD. So, consensus on Briar, tune into Drew Toot stream. She is still a mess, but it does look like some of the new items, she is going to end up being fine. And I guess with that bonus HP, maybe they're trying to move her into a Titanic tank type playstyle. I don't know. Camille, base health is increased, passive cooldown decreased, Q bonus movement speed is increased. So Camille's main thing is her hook shot. And unless they grossly overbuff everything surrounding the hook shot or like her R or stuff like this, it's going to be different. Now, when Camille's Hextech Ultimatum got buffed a long time ago, she actually did get a little bit of damage inside of her all-ins, and it was good. And obviously Camille mains that did talk about it did mention that, that it was nice. But yeah, 24 base health level 1, so she's getting, half an auto almost, depending on how many resistances it goes through. Passive adaptive defenses, 20 to 10 seconds, levels 1, 7, 13 to 18 to 10 seconds, 1, 7, 13. This opens up more trade windows for her. But then obviously at level 7, it's going to be roughly the same. But more trade windows early on. Q Precision Protocol, bonus movement speed 20 to 40% to 30 to 40%. So for context here, she is getting tier 1 boots plus magical boots, basically, on the actual active, which maybe lets her weave in an auto. It's going to make her trade a lot better and not take damage on trades where she, bounces into you. Darius, Q mana cost is decreased. Healing based on missing health increased. E-passive armor penetration increased. So Darius had some itemizations get hit. With a drop in power from Stridebreaker, Darius has found himself and needed some help to strike terror into his opponents. I definitely think he has other itemizations. Stridebreaker was his go-to, and that was his play pattern. But definitely has other items, although Triforce was also hit pretty hard for him. Mana cost 30 to 50 to 25 to 45. That is a lot more spammable now. So now every, 5 Q decimates in lane, you get a free decimate, and that is disturbing. Healing based on missing health per target hit, 13% up to a maximum of 39, 15 up to a maximum of 45%. So 6% more HP is actually kind of a big deal. E-Apprehend, 15 to 35 to 20 to 40. So he now gets he now gets rank 2 at rank 1. And that is nice. I mean, an extra 5%, definitely not bad by any means. It's only going to give him like half of a serrated Dirk or something in good cases in laning phase, unless he's against like tank stacking, but really, really good. Ezreal, Q damage increased, W damage increased, R damage is increased. This does not make sense. Ezreal is one of those champions that you got to be real careful, and with all the items coming out and not enough experimentation, I mean, you guys see how pros are itemizing right now. No one has any idea what's going on. Boris is ruling the world. Boris has become the Rothschild. I don't even know. Boris is the bank. All right. So Q Mystic Shot 20 to 120, 130%, 15% to 20 to 120, 135% AD, 15% AP. So 5% more total AD. W Essence Flux 80 to 300, 80% to 90%. Okay, 80 to 300. So that's staying the same. 20% bonus AD. So 10% bonus AD added onto this. I mean, these are actually this adds up, right? With the amount of damage that he's going to throw out in a team fight. And for some reason, they're giving him 20% bonus AD as well on his R, and his later ranks now scale harder. So he gets 25 here and then 50 here. Okay, so that is, yeah. All right. That is bizarre. Ezreal does get a lot of changes here and a lot of buffs. Q damage decreased, W damage decreased. So if you guys were on the stream where I did the 4-hour item rundown, etc., I did say that maybe Fizz would benefit a little bit too much from some of the item changes. And now the thing that they're doing to Fizz here is they're taking away 5% AP. Now, Fizz typically builds anywhere, Fizz typically builds somewhere between like 200 to 300 ability power, right, in a lot of cases. And so realistically, what you're losing here is you're losing like anywhere from 10 to 20 damage on the Qs, which is a little bit, sad, but it is what it is. W Seastone Trident, damage over time 20 to 60, 40% to 20 to 60 plus 30%, so losing 10% AP here. So Fizz is losing like 40 80 damage on like a combo. That's actually a pretty big deal for an assassin that's supposed to be really slippery, which probably actually almost undoes some of the item stuff that Fizz ended up getting, which kind of sucks because this is Riot's way of like hiding that now Fizz is in the same state. Garen buffs are massive. W active duration adjusted E damage increase. This doesn't make any sense. Garen lost out in 14.1 update, and Stridebreaker's buffed haven't done enough to bring him back up because he has other itemization. I don't know why they're just saying Stridebreaker. Now, he did also lose Hullbreaker, which does feel a little bit bad, but is what it is. 30% damage reduction to 2 to 5 seconds to 4 seconds at all ranks. I think this is overall a massive, massive buff. It's only a nerf in hyper late game once you get level 17, etc. That's when it's going to start becoming a nerf, and that is when it starts to feel a little bit bad. But whatever. I mean, it's a massive buff in early laning and everything. It makes it that much harder to trade against Garen because you have to hold your abilities that much longer. So Garen can respond with W, and then you have to hold your ability. It's really broken. This is very... And the other thing about the 4 seconds at all ranks is this also means that it's very effective against dots even and damage over time. E Judgment, 4 to 20 plus 0, 8.2 based on level, plus 32 to 40% AD to 4 to 20 plus 0 to 8.2 based on level, to 36 to 40% total AD. Wait, what is going on here? Oh, he's just getting more damage early on, and this actually helps out with his CSing and his ability to do cheater recalls and stuff. So really big changes for Garen. Gragas, armor and health growth is increased. Our cooldown is decreased. So armor growth going up by 0.2 does not matter, guys. Does not matter. This is so negligible. Do not be perplexed by this. Health growth is going to go up by 6. So 6, he's going to get an auto attack extra inside of laning phase when you combine it with the armor increase that he's getting. Our explosive cask, 120 to 80 to 100 to 70, does not matter. Gragas needs more going on with his combos. He's not a champion that immediately presses his R off cooldown. If you go through 100 Gragas games, there's going to be lots of them where his R comes up off cooldown, and you're still just waiting for eternity to be able to cast it. Gwen, passive damage is increased. With the 14.1 macro patch, we went a little bit too hard on Gwen, so we're partially reverting that nerf. Damage 1% plus 0.65 per 100. Target max health to 1% per 0.72. Does not matter. Hwei, E cooldown decreased. EQ flee duration now increases with rank. E subject, Torment, 15 to 11 to 12 to 10 is disturbing. That is a massive buff on his E. And Hwei, I think, is a champion that he just has a lot of skill expression. He's very difficult. I actually think that he is balanced, despite his win rate being negative. So it is very bizarre. Grim Visage, 1 second to all ranks, 1 to 1.5 seconds. This is disturbing. Again, get good at Hwei. Anyways, Illaoi base health, base mana growth and health growth increase. Passive heal is increased. This doesn't matter. A lot of it is because of her tentacles, and her itemization ended up getting hit. Hullbreaker got hit, Trinity Force got hit, and Iceborne Gauntlet is an absolutely abysmal item. Her itemization got really, really hit. The changes to the map made her tentacles that much less effective. There's a lot of stuff going on. Giving her access to, 1 or 2 more abilities being able to be used inside of laning phase doesn't actually matter because Illaoi doesn't actually have mana issues. The health going up by 6 and giving her an extra auto or 2, that is actually kind of big in lanes where she does bully, but that's pretty much it. Now, the 0.5% of missing health to 5% of missing health, again, it's missing health. So you have to be missing, a lot of health, and also this is heal upon tentacle hit. You're not getting multi-tentacle hits anymore. So Illaoi is now going to be relegated, I believe, to just a mid lane only champion. Now, if Sion and Galio and, these types of champions do end up coming into mid lane, those are 2 of the champions that I think are best in the game right now in mid, then, Illaoi in mid lane and stuff versus, even Sylas, Akali, etc. like that, that would be fine, and these are massive buffs if that happens. Jax E damage is decreased, so Counter-Strike, 55 to 175, 70% AP, 4% targets max health, to 40 to 160, 70% AP, 3.5% of targets max health, okay? Karma base health is increased, Q damage increased, E shield increased. This champion is now God mode, by the way, because of Malignance. This champion is absolutely God. Gets an auto attack in lane for no reason. Q inner flame, no base damage increase, but 20% AP increase. Makes no sense. None whatsoever for a spammable ability. And also the wave clear that this ends up helping with, even in earlier stages. E Inspire, 80 to 240 plus 45% to 80 to 260. So getting 20 base plus 15% AP. What? Now she can go AP or with Dawn Core and Moonstone Renewer and Staff of Flowing Water, Ardent Sensor, etc. Karma can now do top, mid, 80 carry and support yet again, and it makes no sense whatsoever. This is a quadriflex god tier champion that I wholly think is going to be banned permanently as we resume into pro play on 14-2. Karthus, Q damage increased, W magic resistance reduction increased. So this is a massive buff that Karthus did not need. For some reason, they gave him 10 flat base at rank 5. Now, the ones that you're going to want to pay attention to super early on here are the 45, so he gets 2 early on. It's sort of whatever. Maybe gets like 40 extra damage on the Sentinel and like the Gromp or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But then it starts ramping. And then at rank 3, you get 85 versus 79. That's actually kind of a big deal. And then, again, if you get the double damage, that's quite nice. Wall of Pain, magic resistance reduction 15% to 25%. So 10% more. So super early on, nothing really happening. Maybe you're removing their rune from them. I guess that could be something. Rumble, Q damage increased. E magic resistance reduction is decreased. Okay. So E Electro Harpoon 12 to 20 to 10 to 18. Super negligible. He's still going to overbully you in a lot of cases. It does just help out against him a little bit later on. Rumble is currently dealing a little bit too much damage, so we need to reduce some of it. Lower his Q base damage is the steal. Okay, so they're lowering it. Okay. It says increased. All right. 135, 195, 110%, 6 to 10%, 125. So 10 base, and then everything else is ultimately the same. So they're lowering 10 base on an ability that doesn't actually even hit you for its full. Nice. All in all, you probably get an extra 20 to 30 per trade against Rumble. That's the way to look at it. He's still going to be broken. Basic attack damage is increased by 4. That's actually a sizable amount because Shen, with his taunt, is guaranteed to weave in several auto attacks actually on you. This is kind of big. Yeah, I would say this is kind of big. And then obviously with like CSing and stuff. Also for support Shen. Teemo E damage decreased, our charge time is increased. So yeah, I mean, this is a massive buff, guys. It's a huge buff. Absolutely ginormous. 30,025 to 20 seconds. So Teemo actually has 2 ranks at this point in time. So this was actually level 6, and then this was level 16. Now Teemo has 35, 30, and 25. Massive buff, huge. Absolutely love it. Twist of Fate, multiple adjustments to support more itemization options. Riot, I saw. Listen, Max. I saw your message, the writer, Max. I saw your message on Discord that I would be excited about this, and I really am. Base attack speed is down. Attack speed growth is also down. However, passive loaded dice. Critical strike chances now roll an additional 6-sided die that is weighted towards 1 rather than 6. TF can get like 2 crit chance items, so this also helps him accelerate into his 4th, 5th, and 6th item, which typically ADTF did start having problems with slowing down. And this is massive. And I don't know what crit item he would actually end up going first, but no matter what, it is going to be good. Q wildcard, 60 to 220 plus 90% AP to 60 to 220 plus 90% AP, 50% bonus AD. That's crazy. That's crazy that his Q is getting something like that. Absolutely absurd. Because TF used to just come back to lane with boots as his first item, right? And so now the bonus AD, if he's running adaptive with his runes and whatnot, this is really silly. If he opens like potion, boots, etc., he has the 80 adaptive, then this is going to be really good for the 50% bonus going on there. W, pick a card. Blue crits, 0.75 crit chance multiplier. All right, so these things all have critical strike chance modifiers. This is gross. This is super gross. Locking in a card now resets Twisted Fate's auto attack timer. That is absurd. Pick a card now. Wow, TF is okay. With Galio and all these other champions are like, potentially coming back and stuff, TF is going to be really interesting. E-stack deck, 10 to 40% to 10 to 60%, so he's getting all that attack speed back up here. And again, if you go ADTF, then E is your first max stability, so this doesn't even matter. And the fact that this is 50% flat means that you don't actually have to continue to put points into wild cards. This is nuts. Stack deck now affects towers at 50% effectiveness. That's nuts as well for split pushing. Now becomes fully stacked on spawn. That is disturbing. That is super disturbing. Okay, now obviously you're not going to start the game with E necessarily. You're going to wait until, laning phase and stuff, or you might do invades and all that other good jazz. Veigar base health is increased. If you guys have not seen Veigar V2's tweet about this on Twitter, just go and check that out because obviously Riot is extremely out of touch with what problems Veigar is having. Getting access to 1 more auto attack or something like that is a complete joke and it has nothing to do with what is gating Veigar from competitive play. Items. In an attempt to simplify tooltips and stuff, Bloodsong. Exposed weakness, damage increase, 12%, 8% range to 10% melee, 6% range. Really sad, but definitely needed. Experimental Hexplate. Item recipe, Noon Quiver Tunneler, 600 gold. Hearthbound Axe Tunneler, 700 gold. Okay. Noon Quiver is definitely a lot better. So this feels a little bit bad. Attack speed 20 to 25%, 35% to 30%. That's sad. Okay, so this item is still very, very good. Frozen Heart, one of the most broken items in the game. Now being forced to stay one extra laning phase if you want to acquire it. This is totally fine. Absolutely beautiful. And I like exactly what is going on right now. Horizon Focus. Passive Hypershot and Focus range requirement 700 to 600. That is a lot easier to proc. Passive Focus AoE reveal radius 1200 units to 1400 units. This is good. However, I do think that Horizon Focus is not a good item. And if you guys saw the item tier list and all this other stuff that I ended up doing recently on Twitter and again on stream or in the YouTube video, and I'm going to be uploading an item tier list breakdown video on my main channel, you know, I do not like Horizon Focus. Typically, this is always going to be a third or fourth item, and generally it is competing for BIS in that slot against other items, and it only works on very specific champions, and even those specific champions, generally they're going to have better items to build. A lot of people would make the argument that it's like really good for ability haste, or it's really good for like its stats, and the second that someone just mentions stats in isolation without any argument about practicality and all these other types of things, the argument just goes really out the window, because the game is not just all about stats or gold efficiency of an item. There's a lot more stuff that goes in to that. Phantom Dancer. Reverting Phantom Dancer back out of Zeal again like it always used to. This is a massive, massive nice. Okay, so Hearthbound Axe sucks. This is one of the worst items in the game. Cloak of Agility, 1000 gold to Zeal. Rectrix, 800. This is a super omega big buff. One of the best items in the game, Rectrix, and now Zeal. Phantom Dancer is your ADC's best friend. Riftmaker getting nerfed by 100 gold, doesn't matter. Liandry's, go Liandry's. Steel Sigil, one of the worst items in the game as well. It's going down by 100 gold, which does make it a little bit more manageable, but still, it's just an item hog. That's all that it is. It just eats up your inventory. You don't want to build it early, and the items that it builds into, you don't build early anyway, which means that you don't have inventory space anyway. Stormsurge, 100 to 90, passive squall damage, 100 to 200, 30% AP, melee, 75, 150, 22.5%, range, 100 to 200, 20% AP, melee, 15%. Okay, so Stormsurge is being nerfed. Obviously, this is an extremely popular item right now inside of pro play, and reasonably so. And so when you combine this with like what was happening to Fizz and stuff, you realize that Fizz is getting very hurt in a lot of ways. But some of the other melee champions like Silas, Echo, etc., yada, 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 they're going to be fine. Stridebreaker, 25 to 30%. Total gold cost is also going down by 100. Does not matter. This item still sucks. Support items one at a time. The gold penalty now applies globally to anyone who has a support item in their inventory. Additionally, every champion with a support item now contributes towards hitting the minion penalty. Cool. Bounty adjustments. 20 to 80% of a player's bounty is reduced depending on team goal deficit. 30 to 90% of a player's bounty is reduced. This is really good. This makes it so that if you're actually losing and then the bounty tier system and adjustments end up happening, you don't get punished as hard inside of competitive, because there's nothing going on and you just manage to acquire a lot. Ability haste per Infernal Cinder 0.3 to 0.6. That's really nice. The new Infernal terrain mechanic isn't quite hitting the impact. That's totally fine. Game quality adjustments. We don't believe that Kayn should be able to accelerate passive orb gain through runes. Previously adjusted this with First Strike previously, and now doing the same for Ahri now. As such, Kayn's passive no longer works with Ahri. That's sad. Rost Art now heals even if the unit dies during the channel. Massive, massive buff to Rost. E-Target now Ghost Unit during the cast, really big buff. Ramos will probably AA animation when his W ends. Excellent. Q is no longer a variable duration, changing from 1.75 to 2 seconds to 1.75 back. Oh, what the? I guess they're unlocking Kled, you know what I mean? Evelyn now tracks enemies falling under a threshold much more often. Jace Hammer now uses regular knockback instead of fixed distance upon the spell being cast. Okay. E can no longer target small monsters. Okay. Heimerdinger QRQ now updates every 1 second. Nice. Team's default adaptive force stat change attack damage to ability power. Interesting. Although I think that that's kind of a nerf in some lanes. Okay. Yorick's in-game runes will now replace Glacial Augment with First Strike and Aftershock. Grasp the Undying. This will affect 0.6% of Yorick players. 0.6% of Yorick players literally are that like clueless. I don't have anything nice to say. That is a really high number. Gragas W now applies against turrets and other structures. Boss is going to be extremely happy. Gragas W now applies damage in AoE when targeting structures and includes them in AoE when targeting units normally. That's also really good, even when you're clearing underneath turret. Cannon will now respawn with W fully stacked. It also means that someone can't hug a turret against Gragas because you can hit the turret and then E away and stuff, even if they're on the other side of the turret. Cannon will respawn with W fully stacked. Very nice. Or an R and R2 will no longer be able to target allies on the minimap. Very nice change for misclickers. Cho'Gath R now grants plus 2.5 cast range per stack, maximum 25 range at 10 stacks. That's very big. That's actually huge. Cho'Gath R attack range per stack is increased to 4.62 to 7.7 per stack. That is very nice as well. Took out the R2 now, okay, that's very good. Fizz W now applies to structures 50% damage, really good for split pushing. Jax W and R now applies to structures 50% damage, very good for split pushing. Pix moves faster, especially when further away. Vein and Powder autos cannot be accidentally cancelled, very big buff. Carbon now gets auto attack range indicator like his W, lethal tempo, okay. Nami R will strike behind her, on cast mirror visuals, okay. Tornado Q has 25 bonus range, Volley Bear 25 bonus range, Nocturne Q has 25, okay. Nocturne Q. Brand passive now, it damages every 0.25 seconds instead of every 1.05 seconds. This is actually, I think this is actually a total damage buff, right? I believe this is actually a total damage buff because of the way that the game would register this. I think could be. Wait, I don't know if my brain is failing on this, but yeah. W, it's also faster DPS, which means that you kill the opponent before they can get more health regen. Potentially. Nyla W can now be cast during other spell windups. Nyla EQ is very inconsistent. Ziggs W should be able to. Okay, wards can be placed beside a brush and now slightly nudged into them. That's very sad. That people can't miss as much. The Scar ward, rest in peace. Swain's passive will now be tracked into his tooltip. Okay. Kali, yes. Scar's Blue, no reveal champion pets. Okay. Shifted Tiamat and Ravenous Hydra to use attack timers that are lower. Memento. Okay. Air imbalance changes don't matter. Brand visual effect update. Very, very cool. Clash Noxus Cup. Okay. This is when all these things are starting. And for people that have been asking, because I know the patron has not had an update, I am updating it, and I'm going over, I'm overhauling the lists, and I'm going over it with several pro players, some of which you actually do see on my stream from time to time, and I'll be making that and uploading it to patreon.com/LSXYZ9, although I do know that the tier list, especially towards the end of last year, because Riot just was not doing significant balance changes, they really did slow down, and you were getting one list a month at that, because I just do not believe in like doing like what Reptile does on Twitter, which I think is dishonest, and I think I've said this to him, where every single patch comes out and he like changes things and he says that some of the changes indirectly affect other champions, and it's like no, it doesn't, and you can clearly explain why no it doesn't, and you can clearly explain why people are not drafting around these types of changes for those types of things to matter in most cases, because Riot's patches are not significant enough. So I don't believe in that. So obviously, if you guys have followed my tier lists publicly or privately, then you would know that sometimes the tier lists are extremely slow moving, slower than a glacier. And that is just the reality of the situation. So practice tool updates. Okay, very good. Added some new things. Where's add a friend to practice tool? Mythic shop rotations, bug fixes, quality of life. There's a lot of them. Upcoming skins. Take a look at these. I feel like this skin's already in the game. Heaven Scale Smolder looks like that Aurelian Soul skin. Foreseen Yasuo looks really good. What is this? This is Primal Ambush Sivir. It doesn't even look like Sivir. It looks like literally Riven and Italy had a child. Okay, I honestly don't even know what's going on there. Like, Riven turned into Robin from Smash 4, and you selected Riven, and then you chose like I don't know what is going on. What is happening here? This is Nidalee and Riven, okay, fused, and then this is like Nightmare's Blade from Soul Calibur. Okay, what is this? Primal Ambush Riven. What is this? Prestige? Wait. HR wants you to find the difference between these. It's the same champion. Primal Ambush. This is the laziest skin line I've ever seen. I'm so sorry. This is the laziest skin line I've ever seen. This isn't even funny. I feel like I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is like a set. It's like siblings or something. Like what? Guys. Yeah, this is how I feel. Rest in peace right now. He's probably saying a prayer right now. Holy, rest in peace this skin line. We're not getting any more of these. I'll tell you that. These skins, look, how do they look in game? How do they look in game? Let's see, hold on. Let's see if we're getting any more of these skins. Smolder looks adorable. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that skin. How do these things look in game? Oh my god. If you want to play Nidalee 80 carry, you can. Dude, this literally looks like Nidalee holding her javelin. This looks like Nidalee holding her javelin. What is going on? This is Nidalee, man. Vi's the only one that kind of... Okay, this one looks kind of cool. It almost looks like a human Rengar. It looks like if Rengar was a Worgen. You know what I mean? And then this looks like Set. Nah, this is such a... I'm so sorry. Normally, you guys know, I love shilling Riot skins, and I love, like, promoting them and stuff. I'm just not feeling it. The Yasuo skin is badass. Okay? It's actually badass. Getting an Age skin or something is so cool. I love the Rise Age skin as well. Getting aged skins, I wish that Riot took this approach with more champions to really make them feel more unique. Anyways, guys, that is it. If you have not seen, again, main channel, lots of League of Legends type stuff. TikTok active again, and I am doing co-streams, although I'm not doing it, obviously, at the rate that I did last year. I'm also covering CB LoL, okay? So just remember, Ojogo Hwei Posado, okay? That's her absolutely right. Absolutely blue side, yeah. Anyways, that is it for the patch rundown, guys. I will see you guys all in the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.